Hello YouTube audience. Today is April the 16th, 2022. We are still in early spring here in Seattle. Today I'm going to make a asparagus fern bonsai. It's not a traditional bonsai because the fern is probably not a tree, but it does have a tree form. So here it actually said Plumosa Fern, but it's a type of asparagus fern, Asparagus Plumosus. So it's look like this. So I'm making it for a friend. I say indoor plant. So it's not a typical bonsai. So, but before I make it into bonsai, first let's appreciate this pot a little bit. I got very shallow pot with the chop in it. It's probably imported from China or imported from Asia. So very nice pot. I don't have a tree currently that fit into this pot, so I'm going to instead turn this into an indoor plant pot, a pot for indoor plant, but it's very nice pot. You can see the chop in here. Very serious bonsai pot, but it would take a very good tree to get into this pot. I don't have that tree here, so I'm just going to turn it more into a landscape pot for this indoor plant. So 4 drainage holes. So person who made this pot is an expert in bonsai. The person knows that it takes a lot of drainage in bonsai, unlike a lot of indoor plant pot don't even have a drainage hole. Just enough. So I'm cutting the pieces of mesh to put on top of the holes so that the soil will not fall out of the pot. And now I'm simply going to make some pins to pin these drainage screen down. Just one at a time. going to fit very nice. So I just twist the wire into the shape of almost like a butterfly, and then I can twist the end of it so that it forms almost like a pin. And then after the pin is formed, I'm just going to push it through the drainage hole from the bottom, and then by twisting the end of the pin, I can pin the meshes securely down. Just one butterfly at a time. 5 drainage holes in this pot. Very very nicely made pot. It's going to have very good drainage. Two more. So some people may think I'm putting a very low value plant into very high value pot, and may think that's a little bit overkill, but it's okay, because for me, bonsai is more of a experience. It doesn't have to all comes down to values. So there was this picture of a dandelion put into an antique Chinese pot as an accent plant. And it's kind of like that. So this is a very, very good pot, but we put these indoor plant into it. Some people would not like it, but I think it's completely fine. So now I'm going to put simply a layer of bonsai soil into the bottom of it. And it's going to provide very, very good drainage. Topsoil, I'm just going to use the soil that came with the plant. I'm not going to use anything special. This bottom layer will provide a very good drainage to ensure there will not be root rot. I think that's good enough. We would need to think about the person who's going to take care of the plant. The reason why I don't use complete bonsai soil is the good bonsai soil also dries relatively fast, and you would have to water it a lot. So if you are not a bonsai enthusiast, you may not really be able to catch up with it, with all the watering and things like that. So the result is, if people don't water it often, you put it in the bonsai soil, the plant will die very fast. Don't water it often enough for the plant to survive. Putting it in good bonsai soil will just cause the bonsai to die faster because people are not watering it according to the soil. To compensate for that, I'm putting some sphagnum moss in the bottom of the planting above the drainage layer. So that if my friend forget to water it, it has some buffer layer, because sphagnum moss hold a lot of water. Maybe it can help it survive a little bit longer. without watering. Just a small layer. This may be enough. And now I'm going to take the plants out of its pot and start working on the roots. So I think this will be the principal plant. The soil comes with a lot of organic matters which suit the plant well. And this nursery plants almost always come with a lot of matters, the organic matters, for the same reason I mentioned, because when people are not very good at maintaining plants, if you give the people plants in a good, well-draining soil, it may make the plant die faster because people are not watering it enough. And that's why a lot of nursery plants come with soil that's very, very rich in organic matters. Okay, the root boards is relatively nice, relatively well. I'm just going to spread the root out. I'm not sure how good is the Asparagus Fern in tolerating root pruning. I'm not really sure about that. So it's a grass, it's not really the trees that I'm most familiar with. So I'm not really sure about how much root pruning to do. So I'm actually not doing much root pruning. I also thought, because the plant is very small, I may not need to tie the plant in, but I may need to tie it in. But let's try it without. I may not need to. spread the root out. I can use some stones for help if I need stabilization. So I'm not doing root pruning like what I would do with trees, because this is a grass. I'm not entirely sure how much root pruning it can tolerate, so I'm not doing much. And also, as an indoor plant, I'm not really trying to show it. You can see the topsoil is just what it came with, whatever it came with. I go with that. Okay, that's one side of the planting. The other one, this one is way more trees in it, way more fern in it. So I hope that still hold up. So these fern, they just sprout. It's like a bamboo. So in China, we actually call it literati bamboo. So this fern actually sprout from the base and grow more and more of it from the base. So I could either just grow the whole thing, or I could separate them into several groups. Okay, separated them. Okay, I think I'm going to do them in 3 groups. I think that's what I would do. Now I will stabilize this group. I may need some stones and things like that to stabilize it. So this is like a forest planting, and forest planting are relatively easy. It is more like arrangement. I don't need to worry too much about the movement of the individual plant. So very, very rich organic soil. And these fern loves it. They love these rich organic soil. But if someone water it too much, it may create problems. My friend killed his former fern, Asparagus Fern, due to lack of water, so that's probably not a big problem for him. Now I'm going to create a space for the last clump of the ferns. So that's how you propagate this, just by separating the little clumps of the plants. I think I'm going to leave a little bit for myself, so I'm not going to plant all of it. Just have a little bit left for myself. These soil are exactly what the plant like. They like very rich soil. So the nursery does know what they are doing. Where I feel that the plant need a little bit support, I would just put a piece of rock there to support them. I think 3 clumps is enough. So the rest of it, for this pot, the rest of it I'm not going to put into the composition. Rather, I'm going to keep it for myself. I'm just going to put more soil into the pot to cover all the roots. On the surface, I may just put some fines, of akadama fines to the surface, so that the owner of this planting could understand when to water. He killed his last asparagus fern by neglecting to water it. So this is something that I would need to consider. Given that what this plant is in this soil, it's very, very difficult to underwater it. This very, very organic, very rich soil, you can only overwater it. As a bonsai person, I would think you can only water it, and you will not be able to underwater it. But you need to take into consideration not everybody is a bonsai person. Most people go into a plant shop and buy a plant there without knowing what the plant's like, without knowing the obligation that comes with taking care of a plant. They may think it's a beautiful toy and may not know how exactly they should take care of them. And the same thing with many first-time bonsai owners. They may go into a shop without knowing whether this is an outdoor plant or is it an indoor plant. In another word, whether the plant is temperate climate, what climate this plant came from. If you are growing a plant in temperate climate, a plant originated from a tropical weather condition, and you are growing it in a temperate climate environment, then that make that tree an indoor plant. You can only put them out. You can only put them outside. In the summer, if you put a tropical plant outside in winter, it's going to die. And it would be very difficult to grow a temperate climate plant in a tropical weather, unless you have something almost like, I have a little bit of moss that I can put on it. I didn't collect any moss. And asparagus fern is, I think it's subtropical. It's not an outdoor plant, but you can always put it out in the summer, in the summer, or when it's warm enough. Outdoor temperature. When the outdoor temperature is warm, you can always put it out. Like today, the daytime temperature is about 50 Fahrenheit, more than 10 degrees Celsius. You can put it outside, but the nighttime temperature is too low. A little bit of the we got a little bit of moss. Just a little bit of decoration. Some more rocks. Relatively tiny rocks. The rocks serve as decoration, and it also serve as things to stabilize the plant so that it doesn't fall over. Just a little bit. And on the top of it, as I said, I'm going to put some of these dust. These are dust from the akadama that I sieved out. These are the waste from it. And this can serve as a water indication. You can already see when I put these dust on the surface, it start to change color. It start to change from a lighter color to a more brown, darker brown color. So that's how I plan to tell my friend when the plant needs watering. If the color turned light, that means the plant needs watering. So the back I would add some of these dust too. It's not just akadama, it has a little bit of kanuma in it. I hope it's not going to be too acidic. I hope. Okay, I think this is good. The rest of the fern I'm going to keep for my own purpose. I don't think it can take all of it. I don't think the planting this pot can take all those ferns. That's why I'm keeping the rest of it for myself. This thing is like in my childhood. Our home used to have one pot of these. The thing is you don't want to fertilize it a lot. This plant, they like very moist environment, but they don't want to be overwatered. They don't want their root to be soaked in water, and they like bright environment, but they don't want to be burned by the sunshine. So they don't want to be hit by direct sunlight. So for a beginner, a plant owner, it's not easy. It's not easy to grow these plants. They are a little bit tricky. They are a little bit tricky. It's just like human. Human need love, but sometimes they don't want too much. So I remember when I was little, I put some, so when you wash the rice, you have the water left, and I use that water to water the asparagus fern, and it's just grow like many feet long, and it start climbing on the window frame. And these, if you give them fertilizer, they can grow huge. but you don't want them to. Okay, now, although they don't like too much water, but this watering is necessary, I think. The first watering of a bonsai is very important because it settles the soil, it settles the root down. So we should not save on that. Although the soil is still very wet, I'm still going to proceed to water it. So let's see. Later, I probably need to push a lot of the things around these tables back to show the full image of the planting. Basically, I put it in 3 groups. The tallest is on the right side of the planting. Oh, that's too tall. Okay. The tallest is on the right side of the planting, and the second to that is on the left, and the smallest clump is on the back of the planting. So that it kind of gives us some kind of false perspective. So because, but also have some movement. It's not like all the plants are equally big. The vines are a little bit too easy to wash off. Okay, so we see water draining from the bottom of it, so that's a good sign. Let's see. even I haven't seen the image from the front yet. That's quite beautiful. 15 minutes, that's a little bit long, but I think it's worth it. That is a pretty beautiful landscape planting. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm probably going to give this to my friend next week. So this may be also the last time I see this planting. I hope not, but I hope you enjoy this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.